Sunset Boulevard. The past lives here. In the studio sound stages and movie palaces, in the stately mansions of movieland royalty, a glittering ribbon of dreams, a fantasy of light and shadow. Yes, Hollywood has its dark side, too. Consider the Hollywood Tower Hotel, a legendary fallen star. Its elegant silhouette casts a shadow that stretches to us across the generations. What dark secrets lie beyond its doors, in the dusty hallways, the empty rooms? You'll soon know, for we're all about to enter the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron, and this isn't Hollywood. It's the Disney MGM Studios at Walt Disney World in Florida. I'm here to check out Disney's newest, fastest, strangest thrill ride, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. The Twilight Zone. Na, 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 na. I just love that show, and the Disney people have just opened a brand new attraction. It's a white-knuckle screamer that throws the doors of the fifth dimension wide open, and it drops you, like a rock, from the 13th floor straight into your worst nightmare. The whole thing is set up like an episode of The Twilight Zone, only this time, you're the star. I absolutely love it, and I'm gonna show you how they did it.
Studios, Walt Disney World, Florida, the making of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Wow, look at this. This is amazing. We are in the lobby of the legendary Hollywood Tower Hotel. No one has set foot in this place since one bizarre night more than 50 years ago, when something unexplainable happened. It was way back in 1939, back when Hollywood was really something to sing hooray about. It was the golden age when Tinseltown worked hard and partied even harder. It was the year of some of Filmland's greatest classics, like Wuthering Heights, Gone with the Wind, and The Wizard of Oz. The film community lived the good life. The good life never got better than at the elegant, some might say decadent, Hollywood Tower Hotel. That is until one dark, rainy Halloween night. A freakish lightning storm seemed to hang the tinsel on Tinseltown. Anyone who was anyone was partying at the hotel, none of them suspecting what ominous fate lay ahead. Legend has it that when those 5 people stepped into that elevator, it took them up to the 13th floor. Pretty strange for a hotel with only 12 floors. When lightning struck, the awesome power of that mysterious force blew out an entire wing of the hotel and sent the elevator plummeting at an incredible speed. 5 unsuspecting guests vanished into the unknown. Somewhere along the way, those 5 unfortunate souls left the elevator and entered the Twilight Zone. Anyway, they closed the hotel that night. Now, some people say the spirits of those 5 people still walk the eerie hotel corridors to this day. Others say the bellman survived. But come on, you saw that thing fall. I mean, nobody could survive that. But it was a great story, and Disney thought it was a great story too. In fact, it was so incredible, they recreated the Hollywood Tower Hotel brick by brick here at the Disney MGM studios, just to plunge you into an experience that would last a few terrifying moments, but feel like an eternity. The decision to build a thrilling, state-of-the-art attraction of this magnitude came from Michael Eisner, the head of the Walt Disney Company.
Our parks, our concepts, our movies are not for children, and they're not just for adults, they're for everybody. And even though this is a monumental thrill ride, it is one that you feel totally safe and that you have a more than just a thrill experience. You have the intellectual experience of going into the Twilight Zone.
An attraction like the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror doesn't just appear from out of nowhere. There's a large group of talented, dedicated people whose job it is to come up with rides and attractions that are more thrilling, terrifying, bigger, faster, scarier than any others in the entire world. They let their imaginations run free and test their engineering skills to the limits. That's actually how they got their name. You see, they took the words imagination and engineering and combined them to form one easy-to-remember word. Image-engineers. Asian imaginations. Imagineers. This very special group bears the Disney name, and that's a lot to live up to. Walt Disney Imagineering has a long tradition of combining thrilling rides with story and drama. Space Mountain, an incredible race through the galaxy. Star Tours, a zoom through space on a runaway star speeder. And on Splash Mountain, you hold on for dear life as you ride a log flume down a raging river. Now, to create a great attraction, Disney's Imagineers needed a great idea.
One way of looking at a blank piece of paper is it's the most frightening thing in the world because there's nothing on it. You have to put a mark on it. Another way, and the way we try to get people to think around Imagineering, is that a blank piece of paper is the most exciting thing in the world because there's nothing on it. And you can let your imagination fly in any direction. And that's what happened with the Tower of Terror. Once we really honed in on how we were going to do this attraction, and then came up with the idea of linking it to Rod Serling's great stories, The Twilight Zone. I think that was the magic that brought it all together because it gave us a whole framework to hang all the ideas on.
Once they had the concept, it was time to add a compelling story.
Rod Serling every week said he unlocked the door to another dimension, to the 5th dimension. So we thought, we'll take you there. This is something he couldn't do. He showed stories about this place. But we thought, if we could actually put you in the Twilight Zone, this would be something unique. Invariably, the stories dealt with ordinary people in ordinary situations that have an extraordinary thing happen to them. So this idea of walking into a hotel and confronting an elevator that takes you to another dimension, that's the twist that provides us a doorway into the Twilight Zone. We also know that most of the people visiting the Disney MGM studios are staying in the hotels and facing elevators and having this experience every day. So we wanted to twist that little common experience of theirs, a device known to be used on the Twilight Zone, and make that the basis, the starting point of this supernatural story. So it just fits in so nicely with the themes that Rod Serling dealt with consistently.
Now, after you've got your story, you want to bring it to life, give it some soul and energy, and see what you're getting into. Now, that's where the storyboard artists come in. They are the middlemen between legend and execution.
My job here at Imagineering is a show designer. And what we do mostly are drawings, paintings, storyboards, models. whatever it takes to get the concept and communicate it across. The creative team in the beginning of Tower of Terror had dozens of brainstorming sessions. During those sessions, when we're talking and having discussions, I'm sitting with a sketch pad, making roughies, trying to bounce these ideas back off visually to the people at the table, and to put it in a form that is a shorthand, a visual shorthand that we can reference later. One of the guiding intentions behind the attraction was that we wanted to reflect the opulence of 1939 Hollywood, but show it in a state of neglect, show it in a state of disrepair. If you came into a once elegant room, you should now be able to smell the dust and mustiness of it. There should be signs of wear and tear, of patina that had grown with age on something that was once very, very shiny, very glorious. One of the most satisfying things for me as a designer on the project is to see it go from concept discussions to all kinds of sketches and paintings, to seeing it become a real environment that people can walk through, that you can see their expressions, enjoying and experiencing this story.
The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror isn't only Walt Disney World's newest and tallest landmark, it's an absolute work of art and the ultimate multimedia thrill attraction. It's almost 200 feet tall, and they used over 3 million pounds of steel, over 145,000 cubic feet of concrete, and 27,000 roof tiles to build it.
10, 9, start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines must look off. We have liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
The biggest challenge we had on this project was developing an attraction that was going to push the technological limits of what we know as the attraction business today.
One of the most interesting challenges of building an attraction for Disney is that we try so hard to make everything look like it's not. We build a brand new facility, and then we come in right behind it, and we try to make it look 65 years old.
The Disney prop department and set dressers made everything look just like it did the last night this hotel was open. There are real letters in the mailboxes. Did you know that in 1939 a stamp was only 2 cents? Hey, it really rings.
You rang, sir.
I was just playing with the bell. Sorry. That couldn't be the same bellman that... No. Well, hey, look at this. This is the same pen the guests use to sign in. Wonder what's in here. This place is really starting to spook me.
Part of the challenge of working on the interior of the Tower of Terror was not only creating a time period, but capturing it a short while after it had been built and frozen in a moment in time as everyone vanished. So throughout the lobby, we have little stories that can be seen and are told through a matter of props and set dressings of what people were doing at that moment. In researching the time period, we had to really uncover what was popular at the time and what people likely would have been doing in that hotel when it finally shut down. Right here. See how it's set up? What we're trying to capture in this scene is a mahjong game in progress, which was very popular at the time. And we have a coffee set up. We have a set of flowers that was delivered with it that has long been dead. All of the lighting fixtures in the Tower of Terror that were provided for us by Character Lighting were acquired from a building of similar size, age, and style as our hotel here. The 1920s pattern on the tapestry was our guide for the rest of the colors in the room. At the end of the sofa, we had a visitor in from France with his French-English translation book for some of the harder words in his new American newspaper. There was a lot of activity that last day in 1939. We had a very wealthy person checking in at the time with a very swank set of luggage. He has just signed in the registration book and is now leaving a note at the registration desk telling of a friend arriving later and to please hold their room. Another guest had just checked in and has obviously come in from a much colder climate. He's taken off his overcoat and hat. He's already received his key and newspaper in the hotel, has filled out his Hollywood postcards to send off to others out of town. In this scene, we've created the following story. It's a couple having their last bottle of champagne in the tower before the incident. You can see where she was sitting down. She has laid down her purse and gloves and neatly folded her napkin, and although her champagne glass is dry, she still has lipstick on her glass. And where he was sitting, he just sort of wrinkled his napkin and tossed it on the table.
Picture, if you will, a group of ordinary high school kids. They're out for a night of fun at the Disney MGM studios. Little do they know, they're about to be thrust into the darkest corners of their imaginations, to become players in their very own episode of The Twilight Zone. Like all those brave enough to enter the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, these guests will be retracing the footsteps of those fateful five who disappeared long, long ago. But beware. Once those doors close, there's no escape except through the fifth dimension. That took the smirks off their faces, and it's only the beginning. It's a long way down, but they'll be all right. That thing was just inspected in 1939. Submitted for your approval. Back in 1939, 5 people took this same elevator and were never heard from again. But of course, that's just a silly legend. I can't wait to talk to these guys and ask them what they thought.
Going up.
I don't think so.
In this business, to take 4.5 or 5 years of your life and to start with it may just be a line or it may be a sketch, and then 4.5 or 5 years later to find people laughing and screaming and yelling and saying, wow, that was fabulous, that was worth traveling from Ohio just for that. And I think that's the satisfaction that most of us live for.
Though one of our goals was to make this ride a scary ride, we wanted to stay true to the spirit of the Twilight Zone. And in keeping with that, we wanted also to have a sense of wonder, a sense of mystery to it, as opposed to just horror. Just as a thunderstorm can be very frightening and disquieting, it also has a sense of mysterious beauty to it as well, and we wanted the guest to walk away with that.
So we have salted throughout the attraction very subtle references, sometimes not so subtle references, to episodes of the Twilight Zone TV series. We acknowledge the immense debt that we owe to Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone and the people who created it for providing us with this wonderful mood and this wonderful story. So we wanted to sort of pay homage to that. And I think after repeated viewings of the attraction, you may start to find little mementos of your favorite episode somewhere in the attraction. So keep your eyes open.
So what have we learned? That Disney knows what they're doing when it comes to giving you the thrill of a lifetime? Well, yes, but we've always known that. What we didn't know is that when you get into an elevator, the floor you choose is not necessarily the floor you end up on. And the next time you need a hotel reservation, if you want an experience that you'll never forget, make sure the hotel you choose is the 4-star rated Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Production vehicles provided by National Car Rental, the official car rental company of the Walt Disney World Resort. Green means go.